Hello, snowboarders of the internet. I'm your host, Avran LeFeber, and this is Top 5s, the only weekly Top 5 show in snowboarding. This week's Top 5, we're going to get a little more personal. We're going to talk about the top 5 things I do for joint health that keep me snowboarding longer. Some of you might not agree with this list, some of you might say there's bunk science behind it, but this is stuff that I've found works best for me, and I ride over 100 days a year. So hopefully it'll help you. Number 5, Aftermarket Insoles. These things are friggin' lifesavers. They remove the impact that you get from having less protection underfoot. They just do a great job of dampening vibrations and just helping with those impacts that you get, whether they're major or minor throughout the day as you're landing on stuff, or even if you're just riding along. Stock insole, fucking garbage. But an aftermarket one, it alleviates so many problems with pressure on the knees, so much of that tension in there, and this is what all snowboard boots should actually have. Like, just literally throw away your stock fucking insole and get this. This is like the first thing you could do to protect your knees and your joints. With that said, I think 2 brands that are really great for snowboarders and represent it are Remind, that's personally what I use, as well as Shred Soles, and that's what a lot of my friends use out there as well. Number 4, stretching and yoga. Just making sure that everything's limber. I try to stretch about a half hour before I go and ride, you know, just really get everything loosened up in there so it's not as tight, so you're just not having to deal with it. This is something that's really key with snowboarding. It helps keep your flexibility on there. So if you can, take some yoga or just even watch some YouTube videos on basic yoga stretches. There's some really good ones out there that'll help you. And remember to just keep stretching throughout the day. Number 3, compression sleeves or knee braces. These things are clutch as you get older and you just worn your cartilage down. For me, this is actually what keeps my kneecap in place so that I can actually ride. And it just provides that little added pressure. It's not for everyone, and some people probably don't actually need this, but for me, it's what allows my patella to not slip out and then dislocate, which is something that I've had a problem with in the last few years of snowboarding. So get yourself some compression knee sleeves if you need to, or just a very mellow knee brace. Make sure that it's got the outer and the interior supports in there, something that'll just cradle it, and make sure it fits properly. That's something that I see is people get these over-the-counter ones and they don't fit properly. They slide down. They're not really providing the support that they can. So just make sure that it fits you before you go ride. Number 2, this is a 2-parter, and actually it's supplements that I use. I use collagen peptides like the Vital Protein seen here, and glucosamine chondroitin with MSM and hyaluronic acid, which this is the Kroger store brand. And I discovered that this was actually what worked best for me after years of trial and error. And that's something that you might encounter because these things aren't FDA regulated. They're not like one size fits all or what one's gonna work for you. It's something that you gotta kind of try. I actually got turned on to collagen peptides from a friend of mine that had gone through 7 knee surgeries in a year, and she was able to actually snowboard. She turned me on to this, and I've noticed that it really does help with inflammation in my joints. It really does just make them feel a little bit better. Same thing with using it with the glucosamine and chondroitin. I'm not saying that this is for everyone. I'm not saying rush out and buy this. I'm saying you might need to go try it out and see for yourself. And it's not something that's just gonna make an impact overnight. It takes time. For glucosamine, if I stop taking it and then I start taking it again, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks before I notice it. With collagen peptides, I don't really notice a change until about the 2-week mark with it. And it's one of those things, like I said, trial and error. I tried a lot of different glucosamine supplements till I settled on this brand, and I bought this one on a whim, just like, fuck it, I'll see if it works, and this was the one that had the best results for me. You might not have good results with it. You might not even like collagen peptides. You might be a vegetarian or a vegan and you don't want to touch those. Totally understand. I'm just telling you, this is some of the stuff that I use that prolongs my ability to be out there shredding 100 days a year. Honorable mentions, and I'm gonna say it again, stretching. Stretching is absolutely fucking clutch with keeping your joints going, so make sure you do that. Diet is another thing. If you have a really shit diet, it's really impacting your joints. Like, try to cut down on the sugars, the sweets, the shit food and stuff. I know it's tough, but that does cause inflammation in the joints. And as this is a strenuous activity and you are sometimes putting impacts on that, it can cause that to flare up. The other thing is make sure you're drinking plenty of water. You want to make sure that you're hydrated so that the muscles are working in conjunction. They're not cramping up, tightening, causing restrictions in the joints and whatnot. And if you do feel up to it and you're one of those people that does believe that CBD does actually work, you should check that out. This is something that I use as more of a recovery process after a day, but it definitely helps with the inflammation in my joints. And I've used a few different ones and I'm always kind of just checking out and seeing what's out there. And the number one thing I do to take care of my joints so that I can shred longer is I hit the exercise bike. I try to hit it at least 3 days a week and do about 10 miles if I can. That way I'm just keeping the knees and the ankles and everything just moving in there. It does a lot of help for just keeping those lower extremities. They're less prone to having inflammation. They're less prone to just feeling tight. There's less cracking and popping and aching in there. It's something that is very easy to do. Do it 2 or 3 days a week, and that'll help you if you're just snowboarding on the weekends, or if you're like me and you're snowboarding 5-6 days a week. All right, so this has been my top 5 list of things I do to keep my joints healthy for snowboarding. I know some of you are gonna agree, I know some of you are gonna disagree, and some of you might even have something that I didn't even mention in this. So leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this list. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos I've got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you'd really like to support us and you just want to see us grow out what we're doing over here, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.